So the FOMC meeting awaits us for today. It's going to be a very crucial meeting in the markets because the Fed are going to talk about whether to start cutting rates or are we going to see a hold in rates. Okay, so big market topic at the moment is when are these central banks going to cut interest rates. Now, the Federal Reserve is likely to hold interest rates and keep it within the range of 5.25% to 5.5%. However, the market is looking at not if but when the market will cut rates, because obviously central banks are talking about cutting rates. That means that there is a very strong likelihood that we will see a rate cut. Now, in my opinion, we only see rate cuts when we see really downside aggression in the markets. You know, when we see recessionary figures and things like that, recessionary markets, you can often see the Federal Reserve or other central banks as well begin to cut interest rates. Now, they're going to be holding at a higher level at that 5.5%. So what does that really mean? Now, if we go over to the Fed Watch tool, you can probably see here that I've got a chart here, which is the Fed Watch tool. And this is the target rate probabilities for this meeting, and we can see that the probabilities that at the moment we've got a 97.9% chance that the Federal Reserve are going to hold interest rates within that target range. Now, this is obviously priced in the markets, and that's also something that I'm going to discuss when we come to the charts, because when we often see something priced in already, then it comes to the fact of what we're going to look at actually in the next upcoming figures instead. And if we go take a look at March is Fed Watch tool, we can actually see there is a little bit of a difference here. We have 54.4% chance of no change and within the target range of 525 to 550. But also if we look at the chance that there is a cut or an easing of interest rates, we can see that it's at 44.7. So we're closer to that 50-50 within this March meeting. Now, I think it's going to come down to what the Federal Reserve talk about within this meeting as to obviously what happens to this chart in particular. If we do obviously see the Fed talk about needing to cut interest rates, then maybe they're looking at in the next meeting, then the chances of this could increase and the chances of this could decrease. That means that we're going to be looking at some potential different market conditions around that point. Now, if we go over to the potential Fed's plan in this meeting, and there's a couple of things that we can discuss. Now, the annual inflation rate in the US went up to 3.4% in December of 2023, which was actually from a 5-month low of 3.1% in November. So again, the risk here is that if they cut interest rates too soon, there could be an acceleration in inflation again. That is something that they're going to try and avoid. That is why the rate hike is off the question, but a rate hold is more likely at the moment. Now, if the Fed do disappoint, discussing not really cutting rates until maybe the third quarter, so maybe beyond the March meetings, then there is potential for a little bit of dollar strength to re-enter the markets. Now, if we go take a look at the US dollar index here, I've got a daily chart, and we can see that the market is very much waiting for this announcement. We've been range bound here for a number of days, even a couple of weeks now, and we're ranging around this key resistance level, that 103 spot 50 handle. Now, this is interesting to me because obviously the breakout is going to be determined by what happens in this meeting. If we do see the Federal Reserve talk about easing, then there could be an opportunity to see a little bit of a breakout. Now, whether that means the market will have priced this in already and a breakout could push to the upside, maybe coming into the 104 level potentially. Again, we have to look at what's been happening, and if the market is going to hold at a higher interest rate for longer and try and bring that inflation rate down, that could be a positive, and the dollar could start pushing into the 104s, maybe even to the 104.50s. If we talk about the negatives of that, then price could start to push to the downside here. We could see a move down towards this previous area of consolidation towards that 102 spot 75. But it's going to be an interesting watch this evening. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we can get a breakout of this range on the US dollar index and see what happens next in the FX markets. Thanks for watching this video update. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you in the next video.